Welcome to the Herd Mentality Podcast, an eclectic weekly mix of atheistic and humanistic conversations with complete strangers. I've never met them and they've never met me, but we're throwing caution to the wind, taking a risk with a dodgy internet connection, and God willing, get an interesting conversation for you to listen to. I'm your host, Adam Reeks, and it's time to meet our guests. We have a fine selection of heathens once again today. We have Jake and Hugo from the Bible Reloaded. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure. And we have Justin, who's here representing 25% of the Reasonable Doubts cast. Hello, Justin.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, Jake and Hugo, who are you and where are you from?
Well, I am Hugo. I'm half of the Bible Reloaded.
And I'm Jake. I guess that makes me the other half.
The lesser half.
Yeah, a little bit. I guess so. If you want to, he reads more, so that makes him more 50 than I am. But
so what we do is we have a YouTube channel, and we read the Bible and provide basically secular comedic commentary throughout.
Yeah, we like to call ourselves secular humorists.
How clever.
Oh, Jake and Hugo, you crafty sons of bitches.
Yeah. And of course, being on the Herd Mentality, we of course have Twitter accounts. Jake has the main one at Bible Reloaded, and I'm at Hugo Reloaded.
Yeah, so I suggest everybody follow you guys because whilst you're obscene, and I love you for it, it's you provide some excellent commentary on the Twitter sphere.
Oh, thank you.
And Justin, who are you? Where are you from?
My name is Justin Schieber. I am actually from Michigan, where the other guys are as well. And I do a podcast called The Reasonable Doubts with three other professors of philosophy. I'm sorry, one of them is a philosophy professor, one of them is a mythology professor, and another is a psychology professor. We do The Reasonable Doubts, which is your skeptical guide to religion, in which we delve into all the various interests that we have regarding Christianity, arguments for and against God, the psychology of religion, and various world religions, and the intersection between politics and religion, and all that kind of stuff. It's a very target-rich environment, as I'm sure you're all aware.
There's no shortage of material, is there? When I started doing this, I thought, oh, golly gosh, I'm going to get to 3 episodes and have no idea what to do anymore. And then I realised I have a whole internet at my disposal.
Not to mention you got Ricky Gervais, so that's pretty great.
Who, sorry?
Ricky.
You got Ricky Gervais a couple times ago.
I don't remember that.
Anyways. And thanks, by the way, Justin. You made our pitch sound like shit. That was great. Did you have something written out?
No.
A script? You're just like, oh, yeah, here's who I am. Here's my
No, here's
on hand.
No.
Yeah, my name's Justin, and I have lots of letters after my name.
No. No, the thing is, guys, actually, the funny part of this whole thing is that the 3 guys that I do the podcast with are the ones with the actual formal educations. I've got nothing behind me. I just have way too much free time and way too much book.
Yeah, we're not professors of anything. We're just guys.
Yeah, look at you, all cool.
They send you out to do all the PR.
Yeah.
Jake and Hugo, I've watched quite a few of your clips, and I think they're very funny. I like the Morgan Freeman, because you always put Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
He's... You can't go wrong whenever Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
That was all right. B-.
So the clips you do, then they're effectively television shows. I've just discovered this whole new world of Apple TV. So you can just bring it up on your iDevice and then tap, right, stick this up on the telly and off it goes. So you can kick back and have a beer and watch your stuff. And it's not necessarily animated. They're just images that you've sourced from all over the internet, and you sort of put one up after the other and commentate and so forth. But you dissect real passages from the Bible, but put it in a completely different context.
Yeah.
So basically what we've done so far, we've read straight through from Genesis 1:1, and we've just reached Leviticus as far as recording is concerned. We haven't finished, as far as uploading is, we haven't gotten through Exodus yet. But we've recorded through Leviticus, and we have read word for word, besides the boring shit like
genealogy,
genealogy, and some stuff that just drolls on. But yeah, we've read
That's
every
my
line.
favorite part, guys. Those are my favorite parts. How dare you fucking skip this?
And Joshua begets blah 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 blah.
That sounds terrible. But yeah, and then Morgan Freeman was a conscious decision, as most of our decisions are for the show. But yeah, we were discussing like how we should do the show when we started, and at first we were just gonna like show our faces and talk about it. And we figured that was boring. We're not good looking enough for that. We don't look anything like Adam Reeks. He's far better looking than we are.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at your picture right now. You look like the stubble is the perfect amount.
Yeah.
I've got the George Michael beard happening.
It's great.
Which, yes, it makes for very odd encounters in public toilets.
That's great. But yeah, so yeah,
I didn't know if you were talking about the George Michael the musician or George Michael from Arrested Development. So you know.
Dear, so Leviticus, I've got to ask. That is just a goldmine of material there.
Oh, it's so good.
What was your favourite bit doing, putting together in that chapter?
Oh, well, I'm going to say it's going to have to be the every time you have sex with the animal, you got to kill it, and the person that had sex with it.
I know, that animal is suffering twice at this point. Like, yeah, it had to get fucked by a dirty person who wanted to have sex with an animal, but also it needs to be killed now.
Yeah.
But they also have to kill the guy, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
He's dead, but let's be honest. You're a rape victim and then you get murdered?
Yeah.
That's not cool. And it's by people that found out you got raped. And then they're blaming you, and then they're like, fuck you, now you're dead.
Sounds a lot like the GOP.
I mean, this stuff hasn't changed since the beginning of the Bible. And you take a very humorous slant and look at it. Because, you know, what was in the... Richard Dawkins put up a tweet the other day about a lady who had been to the United Arab Emirates and was doing what a lot of the expats there do, just go out and have a few drinks, because it's not illegal to drink there if you're an expat. But she was raped by one of the people at the bar, and she's now sentenced to 4 years in prison.
Yeah, I saw about that.
For having sex outside of marriage. And he got, I think the guy who took it upon himself to do the raping, he only got a year. Hardly seems fair, does it?
Oh, no. It's terrible.
Yeah, they have similar stuff that happens in Africa. They did a documentary on it. I believe it's Half the Sky, but it was a really, really good... They took, like, Eva Mendes and other celebrities, and they go... It's as a kind of a marketing tool, and then they go and they talk to all these rape victims and just how like patriarchal it is, and how much it doesn't help. Even if they let people know, they're still vilified for it just for having vaginas. It's horrible, and that's kind of one of the things that we want to accomplish. Like, obviously we're a comedy show first, and we make jokes, and they're very lowbrow most of the time, but if we can just get like a few people to watch that are actually Christian, which do watch, we have plenty of Christian people that watch and enjoy it, and like to bitch at us too. But if we could just get some people to look at it and be like, "Man, that is fucked up. That's not right."
Yeah, and
maybe I should second guess this whole thing.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things when looking at holy text, whether it be the Bible or the Quran or anything like that, using humor as a tool, I think, can help take these things down off a pedestal that people have put them on when they've looked at them their whole lives as from children as this perfect book. Taking jabs at it can make them take a second look and go, wait a minute, that really doesn't make sense. It can lower defenses.
And the format in which you put it, it makes it such that people can consume small little snippets, so just one passage or one verse or one chapter out of the Bible. Because a lot of these people haven't read the Bible. They don't know what goes on in it.
Yeah.
If they had, they would have noticed, like if they were to, for instance, having read Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 29, you would read, "He shall pay," this is in reference to a person being raped, right? It says, he shall pay her 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the young woman, for he has violated her. He can never divorce her as long as he lives. So in this case, kind of like that documentary, you have the victim blaming, where the young woman gets raped, and guess what her punishment is? Well, her punishment is this, now she needs to marry her rapist.
Well, no, hang on. That's not all bad, because she did score 50 shekels out of it.
Yeah, so she can buy, I don't know, something to hide her shame, like alcohol.
Yeah, go out, buy yourself something pretty.
Fun fact, 50 shekels is actually more than the price of a slave in the Old Testament, according to Exodus, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Another interesting thing about this verse is that it only makes sense in the context of women being property as well. So it makes sense if the father has his property, as in his daughter. If he has his property violated, of course he's going to want the payment for that, but he's not going to want the property anymore, so he gives it away. So it's like if someone breaks into your shop and like eats like half of a sandwich or something. It's like you're going to make him pay for the whole damn sandwich, but you're not going to want to keep that thing. You say, go and take this. That's essentially how they were treating these rape victims back in this Deuteronomic law.
So back in those days, they really should have been tattooing women with "you break it, you buy it."
Absolutely, yeah.
It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
And nothing's really changed. I mean, over in the Middle East, they've got a different book. It's certainly the handwriting in the books is a lot prettier than English.
Yeah, they still use a lot of the early stuff, though, like the Torah is pretty heavily lied upon. So
yeah, okay. So Justin, tell me more about your podcast.
What do you want to know?
Well, that's why I got you on.
Oh. All right.
Okay. What sort of material do you use as fodder or as content for your show?
My job on the show, or at least my kind of assumed role here, is that I'm a counter-apologist. So what I do is I scade the internet, or I have like a whole shelf full of like apologetics, Christian apologetics, and I just go through this stuff and I find arguments and I show them why they're completely full of shit. And so in doing this, you're using the tools of philosophy primarily. And there's many times that on the show that I've done debates, and so I've debated several apologists, and you can listen to those on the show.
Give us an example.
Okay, so let's say the design argument, right? So the design argument, or at least the teleological argument, you have something where these cosmological constants are, at least it's claimed, they're finely tuned within a narrow range of possible ranges, right? So they appear to be finely tuned for the production of complex chemicals, which is required for biological life. Now, the apologist looks at this kind of information and says, well, holy shit, it looks as though somebody's monkeyed with the laws of physics to bring about biology, right? To bring about eventually humans, right? And so this kind of inference really seems compelling to someone who hasn't really thought about these issues before, right? So it seems really intuitive that if the laws could have been a lot of different ways, and they're a particular way, and that particular way just happens to be the way that is good for bringing about life, then that seems really interesting. It looks like there is some kind of designer behind all of this. But when you get really into the actual literature, not what the apologists are saying, but what the actual philosophers are saying about this stuff, these arguments are just fraught with problems. So one of them being, a lot of the time these kinds of arguments are put in probabilistic terms, right? So they'll say that it's really, really improbable that you would have the evidence of fine-tuning that we have if it was just a random chance. And then they would add to that, they'd say it's really, really probable that you would have these kinds of fine-tuning if it were a god that were designing it. Now, there's two problems with that, I think. One of them being, if you want to say, you can't just front-load your hypothesis and say that God is the one doing this, because you would need some kind of independent reason for thinking that a god would have a particular interest in fine-tuning-based activities, right? So in the same sense that you don't hear Christians going around saying, I probably spoke too soon here, but you don't often have Christians going around saying, I found my car keys. It was a God thing, right?
I've heard that.
At least it doesn't happen too often, right? At least it's not taken seriously philosophically. Now, the reason why that's not taken seriously is because there seems to be a common understanding between these various different religious believers, and that common understanding is that God doesn't really give a fuck where your car keys are necessarily, right? So God isn't going to be the kind of explanation that you want when you're trying to explain why your car keys were in between the couch cushions, right? Rather, the kind of explanation people are going to want is that it was in your pocket, and maybe it fell out while you were moving around or when you were making out with your girlfriend or something. That's the kind of explanation they're looking for, right? Because the God explanation seems really silly. Like, yeah, I had my car keys, and then God decided to put him in the couch. That just seems really silly. So the same kind of concern comes up when it comes to the fine-tuning, right? So if you want to posit that there's this being behind the universe, you need some kind of independent reason for thinking that this being has an interest in bringing about biological life. There doesn't seem to be any obvious reasons unless you have access, you have some knowledge about what that being would actually be interested in. Unless you can provide that, you can't really say that positing a God explains why the universe is the way that it is. Secondly, there's a problem with the probabilities of these arguments. So probabilities generally, when you're trying to say that something is probable or something is improbable, what you need to be able to do is to take all the possibilities and make their various probabilities add up to one, right? So that you have all the exhaustive possibilities, and those should all be exhaustive of all possibilities. And then let's say some particular arrangement is really like about 50%, right? Then maybe you have one that's like 20% probability and another 30, right? That would be all let's say you have those three options, and that's how the probabilities are dispersed. You can't do that with fine-tuning, and the reason is because these cosmological constants that they're so worried about, they seem to have a lower limit, i.e. 0, but there's no real logical limit to the upper limits of these various constants. So the problem with that, of course, is that it explodes your possibilities, every single one of these constants, into infinity. So your probabilities can't be normalized. You can't say that they add up to 1 because that would be an incoherent statement to make about something that you simply you can't really grasp all the possibilities. So in that way, those probabilistic arguments are incoherent. They're not just bad arguments. They literally don't make fucking sense. And so, like that's just an example of like one of the things we'll in fact, I just recently finished up a debate with Max Andrews, who works for William Lane Craig, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Oh, big fan of his work.
Yeah, Max Andrews is a really smart guy. He works for William Lane Craig. He does a lot of the writing on the website, and he's a really smart guy. He's currently enrolled in a PhD program at Edinburgh University for philosophy, and he's just got his MA in philosophy at I think it was Liberty University, and he's also got a BA in biblical studies. Really smart guy, right? So he's got plenty of formal education behind him. And we just recently finished up a debate on the existence of God. And for those interested, check out doubtcast.org, and we'll be publishing that debate in just a few short weeks here. It was a really good one. I really enjoyed myself in this exchange.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll be checking that one out. It sounds like fun. I've always wondered why, when you're going into debate with somebody who's in counter-apologetics like William Lane Craig, or these people who really want to be forceful about something that is unfounded, why the people on the atheism side of things don't get up and say, all right, first point, let's agree to something. I'm prepared to change my opinion if you can prove that God exists. But nobody seems to do that. Everyone just seems to sort of go in and fight the fight at the grassroots level without expecting the counter-apologist to change their mind at some point, because unless you can get something concrete at the beginning and put them in a position where they have to be reasonable, they're not going to do it.
Yeah. My thought on debates has always been that you're almost never going to change your opponent's opinion necessarily. It's always
Absolutely.
For the audience.
Yeah, that's how I think it too. Yeah.
It's because both of you are probably going to come out of the debate believing the same thing you did before, but the audience is really the one who decides who, quote unquote, won, you know? They are the objective viewer who is supposed to take away from it who made the more solid arguments. Of course, everyone has their own bias, but still, they should have a clearer view as to who made better logical arguments and fewer fallacies.
Right, and my hope is always that, you know, there's some people listening or some people in the audience of, you know, if it's a live debate, that are kind of on the fence of these issues, right? They're not really dogmatic in their view. They're like, I kind of think that an idea of a God makes sense, right? But, you know, and maybe the design argument or something like it is the reason why they kind of think it seems intuitive to them. And so I that's what I think is really important about those kinds of live debates, is when you get down to the real critical issues and you show and you explain, look, these are intuitive arguments, right? Our brains are almost designed to think that this is compelling argumentation. But once you actually get critical about these things, once you take your thought processes seriously, then things start to pop up that are not as intuitive as the conclusion, but they show you that your inferences aren't as clean and easy as you once thought.
Yeah. We encounter that a lot on the show, too. At least, I guess not directly, but people like commenting or talking to me on Twitter or Hugo on Twitter or just in person when they, like our group of friends and whatever. They often come away with it like, oh, I didn't know that about the Bible. Or I didn't know that about this certain thing or that. And it's always really interesting to listen to, and I really like it. And I find the people that are most, I'll say, malleable are usually the ones that have grown up in religious families and are just kind of going through the motions. And they say they believe, but they don't really, like you said, they're not dogmatic about it. And I find that those people are the ones that benefit the most from the stuff that we do and the stuff that you do. And I think that that's important.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that, this stuff goes both ways. I mean, we can't pretend that the atheist movement or individual atheists themselves are immune to these kinds of psychological pulls that we all have, Yeah. I mean, a lot of us are going to go into a debate, and even if it was a clear logical win for the Christian, as in his arguments were left unscathed by the end and the atheist arguments fell apart, even if that was the case, a lot of people who are really dogmatic atheists are going to leave thinking, oh, we totally crushed them, Because they're not, a lot of people don't really care. A lot of people are in for the kind of tribalism, us and them kind of attitude. And I just think that that's really unfortunate and damaging. And to a movement like the atheist movement, who is supposed to be this kind of beacon of
Reason and hope.
yeah. Like, I think it's about time people started acting like it. Like, I think that I see far too many atheists out there that are just being extremely, just insulting. Yeah. And that's, I'm not going to at all pretend that I'm immune to those kinds of temptations either. I mean, I've said some shit that I still think is kind of funny, but like,
yeah.
Like, I think it's important that we kind of keep wraps on that, and we call out people on our side because we should have, I think, higher standards for our side if we want to be the reasonable ones.
We had to do that very recently. We got a really shit comment on one of our videos. It was, I'm so glad, and this is a quote, direct quote, I'm so glad I can laugh hysterically at the moronic moron Christian retards. Grammar aside, fuck that statement. I hate that because...
Absolutely.
I mean, I have friends that are Christians. I don't think they're morons. I think their ideas are unfounded. Don't get me wrong. Some Christians, total morons. To be fair, though, some atheists, fucking terrible morons. It goes both ways.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, hi. And we put that down very quickly. We both jumped on that because I didn't even tell Hugo, and he saw the comment. And we both were on there like, no, this isn't cool. Like,
Good.
I don't know. Yeah, because again, it's light. It's a light comedy show, and that's the point. And we want people to talk about it, not just scream at each other.
Yeah, attack the belief, not the person.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Unless the person's a piece of shit.
And I commend you guys. I commend you guys for doing something like that because I feel like there are too few people that are willing to defend the other side in the way that you guys did. I think that shows some character there.
Yeah. So we lost a subscriber, but we'll get 10 more just for telling them to fuck off. So.
Yeah, it really is R-rated, your stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't hold back really. We swear, we make jokes about penises and foreskins, but it kind of calls for it, It's borderline appropriate compared to the stuff we're reading.
When you're reading the Bible, it really is all penises and foreskins, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, the first half is just foreskins and balls and rape, and you're just like, I don't know what to do, but besides talk about penises with you, Hugo.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
And then they just there's one part that we're about to get onto on the show where they go and attack a group of people, cut off their foreskins, and then bring them back to their leader to be like, hey, look at all the people we killed. Like,
oh yeah, they have to like. Someone assigns him a number, right? They're like, "Go collect 100 foreskins or something."
Yeah, that's in David actually. And then he goes. Saul is going. He sends David out, and he's like, "Go collect 100 foreskins," hoping that David will die because he's worried that David will take over the kingship. Yeah, and then he goes out and gets 200 foreskins. Double it up, motherfucker! And then he brings them back. And he throws a sack of foreskins at Saul's feet. And actually, it's funny in the Bible that the whole thing they did on History Channel. You see that series? Ugh. They actually changed it out for ears
What?
Is.
Yeah, they took the foreskins completely out, and they're like, in editing, they're like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't put foreskins on this television program.
Oh, why not? I don't know why. It's in the
That's
book.
that's not historically accurate, is it?
Oh, it's not at all. So I was
Well,
disappointed.
neither stories are historically accurate. Let's get real.
You know, look, my cat very occasionally brings me back a bird or a little mouse. I've never had anybody sort of knock on the front door and drop a bag of 100 foreskins here and say, here you go, Adam.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
Lot
Challenge
of work.
accepted.
Yeah. There's also a very funny foreskin reference in Moses. He's like walking out into the desert, and then all of a sudden God is going to kill him for no reason. It's a passage, I can't remember the verse, but he comes out, and then his wife takes it upon herself to cut their son's foreskin off, and then they like put the blood on Moses' toe, and then it's okay. What is that about?
I remember that. I forget where that is. That's in...
It's in Exodus, but I don't know what verse. I forgot. I don't have my Bible in front of me.
Oh, man. So good.
It's really fast, too, and kind of out of context.
Yeah,
They're
it's
just
like, hey,
we're going to kill you now!
Kill him or cut the baby dick. Oh, we better cut the baby dick. Oh, okay, we won't kill you now.
I don't know how we got onto foreskins. I did put I put up a tweet earlier. It just says, I have no problem with people removing skin tags, but when their definition is extended to foreskins on children for religious purposes...
Any purpose, really. I mean, what reason is there for even secular people to be doing this, right? It's not a health reason. That's been shown. So it's simply a traditional kind of thing that, like, even if you don't believe, you're going to do it because it's traditional. No, fuck that. That's completely absurd. You do not mutilate your baby's genitals just because people in the past have been going along this pattern. No, use your fucking brain. Step outside of that.
But why did they go for foreskins? I mean, apart from the obvious thing about shaming sex and genitals and so forth, because it's a good way of postponing people's reproduction by putting the fear of God into them, saying you've got to wait until you get married and then you can have the fun stuff. But why foreskins? Why don't, as soon as these children are born, why aren't they cutting off their nose?
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard a couple interesting things on that. The most interesting one was it was a less severe form of human sacrifice. So that might be it. I don't know. I don't have a major in any of those fields, but I have a couple Twitter followers that have told me that, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
All right, well, just really quickly, go around the table. Bonus points awarded to whoever can think of the best use for 100 foreskins. Go.
Ooh, go ahead.
I already got it.
Okay, go ahead. You're first.
So, like often people do when they string popcorn on a Christmas tree.
Oh, that's good. Ooh, that's a really good one.
Foreskins on the pagan evergreen.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay, I have one. It's a line of fashionable hats for mice.
Ooh, that's very good. I have one too. Mine's less tasteful than fancy hats. You deep fry them, and then you add some sort of seasoning on them, and they're kind of like Dick Funyuns.
Oh my god!
and you can sate like cannibals with them.
More onion skins than onion rings.
I think we've gone
where you're suggesting, because I was going to go chicken and sweet corn soup that no one would really know the origins of. You could get away with selling that anywhere.
That might work too. They might be a little chewy though. They seem like they'd be chewy. I've never tried it, but
I wouldn't know. I'm prepared to give it a shot. Good thing you guys are in Michigan.
Yeah, watch out, Justin. We're in Michigan too, though, and I'm kind of interested.
Feeling a bit peckish.
That's a double joke.
This might have to be the bonus material at the end. We might have to put a disclaimer in. All right, so let's move away from penises just for a moment because this is a tasteful show. Let's talk about vaginas in the Bible. What are your thoughts from the Bible Reloaded? Have you done any vagina work in your?
Oh yes, we have done an episode actually called "Dueling Vaginas" and other Bible fun. Yeah.
Yeah, someone
we did that bit. We did that. Yeah. So basically what it was it Rachel and Leah?
Rachel and Leah, and they were both the wives of, who was it?
Jacob.
It was the wives of Jacob. Yeah, and they basically went back and forth trying to have more babies. They were basically saying, no, I'm the better baby factory, so they were just fucking Jacob. And then...
So it was a fuck off.
And then they, at one point, Leah goes up to Rachel and she's like, hey, can I have some of your, what were they? Were they...
Some of your... some of your mandrakes?
Yeah, some of your mandrakes.
So I can have sex with Jacob tonight? And she's like, sure, mandrakes for sex sounds great. Let's do that.
Mandrakes as in ducks.
No, mandrakes as in the root. They kind of look like men.
Oh, right.
They're used as a fertility thing when you put them in tea, I think.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So she basically just says, yeah, you can have these mandrakes if I can have sex with Jacob tonight. And she does, and she gets pregnant again. And it's just ridiculous. They keep going back and forth, and there's kind of
like 8 times.
Yeah, it like reinforces this idea that these women are just basically baby factories to try and glorify Israel.
And they're walking.
Well, you've got to admire their sportsmanship.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure they tagged each other out.
If you're trying to establish a religion and control in a certain area, you want a larger population to be following your god. So it's in their interest to, it's at a certain point, get as many babies out there as you possibly can. So have as many children populate God's earth. It's not sustainable, and it has to stop.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of every zombie apocalypse movie I've ever seen, because once you bite another person, they become a zombie, and then it just keeps moving. I feel like that's what they were trying to do with sex. Except you don't have to only shoot them in the head.
Well, I have no idea where this is going, but I love it.
Well, no, unless they're, of course,
no, you know
of
what I'm saying?
a different religion.
Yeah, sure. Not like you want to spread, and they were nomadic, so it's kind of like a herd, and you just want to keep moving and keep engulfing more and more people, and it's kind of like that. They're kind of like zombies, I guess. I don't know.
Zombies without yeast.
Yeastless zombies, that's true.
Oh, that's horrid. Okay, so that's vagina work covered off, so tick.
What an interesting list that must be, just penises, vaginas, zombies.
So what have you guys got coming up?
Oh, man.
The other day we actually just started releasing Season 3 of the Bible Reloaded.
Yep, we started with the 10 Commandments, which I think today is our best episode.
Oh,
and
I saw... Did I see that one?
We just uploaded it Wednesday. So
yeah, I think you put up a tweet about it. I checked it out.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and Hugo did a wonderful job editing it. But yeah, so we're starting with the 10 Commandments, and then we'll move in. We're gonna trudge through Jew laws for like a month, but we'll make it fun. And then also, what we do on the show is we do a 2-to-1 ratio. We do 2 Bible episodes in a row, and then we break it up and we do something else. Actually, we got a Bible Man episode coming up after the next episode. Have you seen Bible Man before, either of you?
No.
Oh, wow. You're in for a treat. Okay, so Bible
I've heard
Man,
of him. I've just never seen him.
Yeah, Bible Man is a Christian superhero, which is about as dumb as it sounds, and his only powers are reading scripture and ripping off Star Wars, and that's it.
He has a yellow lightsaber, and he also has armor, and then he has his token black sidekick, and it's great. You guys got to watch it.
I can't wait for this. I mean, as soon as you get Star Wars involved, I'm sold.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, anything with Star in the title. Star Trek, Star Wars, Cosmic Consciousness.
Deeper comfort, masters of the universe.
I'm a fan of the works.
Yeah, and also he has a villain it's the same guy playing every villain in every episode except for I think the first 2, and then after the later episodes are different. But he plays a different villain, and he has a dance number in just about every episode, and it's just hilarious.
It's ridiculous.
That's awesome, is what it is.
Oh, it's so much material. You have no idea. It's like a gold mine for us.
The weird thing too is that Bible Man is basically like the Christian Bruce Wayne as far as they're concerned, and he uses a lot of scientific equipment, but it's pretty clear that the guy who writes Bible Man knows nothing about science, so the things he says make no sense.
Yeah, and in the Bible cave, they have a functioning artificial intelligence, which kind of goes against the entire humans are special thing. I don't know. It's weird.
They kind of abandon dualism when they say that computers can be conscious now. That's funny.
So, Justin, what have you got coming up?
Like I said, I got that debate coming up. Other than that, I have a few other projects in the works for future episodes that should be pretty interesting.
But you can't say anything about them because they're top secret.
Yeah, kind of. We try to keep the content relatively on the down low, but lots of I'll just say we'll be probably examining. There's a popular argument by William Lane Craig called the Kalam cosmological argument.
Ooh.
Yeah, which goes like this. He says everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. And the second premise of that, he employs several different arguments for both scientific and philosophical What he's trying to do is to argue that an actual infinite can't exist, that infinites are only really tools in math, but there could never actually be an infinite set of things in the world.
Has he not seen the number pi, or phi, as I think it's called in the States?
Right, so what he's saying is that, it's a tool that we use in mathematics, but it couldn't be an actual thing in reality. We could never have like an infinite set of hats or an infinite set of foreskins, for example. So he gives a few philosophical arguments for this, and we're going to be looking at those hopefully coming up fairly soon in some significant depth. Because there's been a lot of interesting literature going back and forth in the philosophical literature about that argument, and I think it's a target-rich environment, and I'm looking forward to examining it.
Doesn't God apply to the infinite argument, though?
Oh, but see, God is a different kind of infinite. See, because there's
he's an infinite that we can't count, or even prove.
So the theologian, the theologian's going to say that God is infinite, but infinite doesn't mean the same thing. It's not like an infinite number of things. God is infinite in the sense that he's always existed, and to say that he is infinite in each of his powers, that they are to an infinite degree in the sense that, to their maximally great degree. So that's, I kind of think, what they mean by infinite in that way. They wouldn't say they wouldn't say that God is an infinite number of things. Of course, God is 3 apparently. Which, if 3 is a crowd, that means God is a crowd, and that's kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, it'd be an interesting family reunion for God, wouldn't it? Because he's got how many reincarnations? I mean, there's God, there's Jesus, there's the Holy Spirit. What have I missed?
That's
just those 3.
Just those 3.
And if you speak any more, you'll be burned.
Have you got anything you'd like to plug, people?
Well, 2 things, actually, if I get... Firstly, because we're sluts, we have to plug ourselves, obviously.
Yeah.
Just go check us out on the Bible Reloaded on YouTube. Just go ahead and, type it, whatever.
We'll be the first option after you type the Bible R.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. We've gotten that far.
Yeah. And secondly, I'd just like to plug a friend of the show who I've been watching a lot, and I really like his stuff. He's also on YouTube. He's called Logicked.
Oh, yeah, Logicked. He's great. It's Logicked. He's got a very cool gimmick, and maybe you can get him on the show. I don't know. He's a Canadian as well, so maybe he has shit internet. But he's hilarious, and he's a friend of the show, and we chat. And he's great, and I don't know why we're being his pimp.
Yeah,
but good for us, I guess. We're nice guys.
Yeah.
Well, share the love. Do what you've got to do.
Yeah.
All right, and Justin, what other projects have you got coming up that you'd like to talk about?
Well, yeah, we're just working on some future episodes, and we got that debate coming out, which I'm really, really excited for because, well, I think it went pretty well on my side, but you'll be the judge of that. So I'm not going to speak too broadly on that.
It'll come out even better after the edit.
Absolutely. And so, so that, which I'm like I said, I'm really excited about it. I think it was a really, really interesting debate. It went back and forth. It got pretty technical at times. I think it was a debate that was a bit more, at least is more substantive than what you typically would get at like live debates or something like that, where you can't really reference the articles that each other are using and things like that in a live debate. Like you said earlier, I run the Doubtcast Twitter, which is just @Doubtcast, and the show is called Reasonable Doubts. And we also have a YouTube channel, which is just Doubtcast. On there, there's only a handful of videos, but most of it's just audio from the show with some slides going in the background. But there are a few videos of debates that I've done.
Excellent. So, guys, thank you very much for coming on the show. You can follow Jake and Hugo, The Bible Reloaded, so @Hugo Reloaded and @Bible Reloaded. You can follow Justin from the Reasonable Doubts podcast, @Doubtcast. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the show and brightening my day.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
I'll
us.
speak to you on Twitter.
Thank you very much, Adam.
Oh, I wanted to say something like, I just want to take your voice and just have sex with it. Like,
how does one do that?
They're doing marvelous things with science nowadays.
Hello.
Hello.
So are we recording?
We're recording now. The people want it. You know, the peasants on Twitter, they've been saying, rah, rah, we want rah.
Well, what can I say?
You can say you're on it, or you could use one of those four-letter words that you're famous for busting out.
Oh, I can't possibly know what you mean.
You sound like royalty in real life.
Well, you're Australian. Of course I sound like royalty.
I'm just one of the colonists.
Well, I'm not going to make any comment.
So how are you? Why are you up at 4:45 in the morning?
Well, it's too bloody hot to sleep. I just can't sleep. It's so hot.
Well, be almost, 21 degrees there?
I don't know how hot it is, but it's really hot.
It's hot enough to crack a sweat, sir.
Yes, it is.
So you've been busy abusing people for the last few hours, from what I can see. Have you just got off a shift and you're very angry about something?
No, I wasn't at work at all. I've been at home.
On the Twitter sphere?
Yes, of course.
Excellent. So what have you learned today?
Well, I really don't know how much I can say. Are you going to cut out all the swear words, or?
Oh, look, you do what you've got to do. That's fine.
Okay, I'm trying to be, somewhat restrained.
If you could be a little restrained. I mean, this is going to be bonus material on a podcast that just had the Bible Reloaded guys on it, Jake and Hugo, and those guys don't mince their words. So,
right.
Look, you can probably get away with one or two. If you've got to, save them up, make them effective, and do what you've got to do.
Okay, all right. So what have I learned today? Well, it's the usual stuff, isn't it? Usual theist discourse and lack of evidence, and the usual pedo apologist trying to justify, the sort of bullshit that goes on in the Vatican, and blah blah blah, same old stuff.
Same old, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The apologists for kiddie fiddling, there's no shortage of them. They're all over the place, and I don't even think they understand what it is they're apologising for.
No.
Because it's been swept under the rug, and the system that they've been taught to believe in is infallible. So, why, what could possibly be wrong?
Quite. And if there is one particular thing that boils my piss on Twitter is paedophile apologists, and I'm quite well. I get rather cross about it because I think if you are, so vehemently defending the Pope and the rights of the Church over that of the welfare of children, then you really are the necrotic anus of humanity, and I have no mercy for these people. I can't help it at all. I think I've saved my cunt waffle for this particular occasion, and they are the cunt waffles of society.
Right, well, okay. Well, I'll have to crowbar that into the podcast somehow. I don't know, but it really. You know what? I might just leave it in because it is just. It's so raw. It's so you.
It's a rahism, isn't it?
It is, and I think there's going to be a lot of young gentlemen who are quite aroused at your voice. I know. I know. I certainly am.
Stop it!
So, talk to me. So you're obviously a nurse.
I am.
And this is, you go around saving lives and so forth. And then...
Well, I wouldn't say I save lives. I work in general practice now, so it's quite mild stuff.
Oh, okay. So very few long-handled teaspoons up bottoms.
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Okay. Well, you keeping your hand in, though? I mean, is it the sort of skill that you can continue... Is it like riding a bike, where you've... once you've scooped out one bottom, and just jump back on at any point in the future?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've had a pretty, varied career nursing-wise. I've just come into general practice now. Actually, I was working in a prison before.
Oh gosh.
And believe it or not, I was the nurse in a sex offenders wing, so I dealt with a lot of paedophiles every day.
Hang on 2 seconds, Ra. Hang on. I've got Tanner who's just joined the call. Hello, Tanner.
Oh, hey, man. Are you casting?
Yes. So thanks for really, I was getting some really good stuff out of Ra. We've got Ra on the line.
What's up, Ra? How are you?
Hi there. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I was actually calling Adam because I got a new mixing board and a bunch of equipment for my podcast, and I was hoping he knew more about audio than I did.
Oh, right. Yeah, he probably does.
I wouldn't go that far. But Tanner, you missed out on the podcast that I recorded earlier with the other podcasters, you silly goose.
You told me you postponed it.
Yeah, to today.
Sorry, man. I've been.
That
sigh breaks my heart.
Oh, this is like the worst bonus material for a show ever.
You're right. I'm not doing anything.
Thanks so much.
Well, no, it
Do you
was
wanna
going
hear a joke?
brilliantly until Tanner decided to rock up and ruin everything.
Do you want to hear a joke?
Yeah, if we have to.
It's about a polar bear. You want to hear a polar bear joke?
Yeah, go on.
So baby polar bear walks up to his mommy polar bear and says, "Am I 100% polar bear, Mom?" She goes, "Of course you're 100% polar bear. Why would you ask such a question?" He goes, "Well, because I'm freezing."
Right, you're off this call. See you later, Tanner.
Bye.
Jesus. All right, so really sorry about that, Ra. That was very rude of me. You were talking about
quite all right.
sex offending.
Yes, not my own.
Oh, okay.
No,
well, that's
not my own.
disappointing, but okay, go on.
Yes, well, I worked before I came to general practice. I worked in a prison, so and I worked particularly quite a lot on the sex offenders wing. So I'm well versed on the world of paedophilia.
That is, you've got to have some thick skin to deal with that stuff.
You do. It was a maximum security prison as well, so we had Britain's most unsavoury in there. But you adopt a level of professionalism, which I'm sure from Twitter, the way I carry myself is possibly more unbelievable than God itself. But you just get on with it.
Yeah, I imagine you would. You just have to be really forthright and just
you do
say it, tell it how it is.
Yeah, I don't struggle with that.
So if you had a message to the 4 people who listen to this podcast, what would it be?
Gosh, are you expecting something really deep and philosophical from me now?
No, I was actually expecting swear words.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's just keep being vocal about atheism. We're very lucky that most of us live in countries where we can talk about it without any, dire consequences for ourselves and, for our family members. I think there are a lot of people who do come to Twitter looking to talk about atheism because they perhaps themselves are thinking about it. And I think also it's important to be quite vocal in opposition to religion and the atrocities and barbarities caused by it. So I think people do a fabulous job on Twitter. It's brilliant. I love it. Possibly a bit too much.
Look, it becomes a bit addictive. I just like the one line reply. So you get into quite heated debates with people.
I do. I know.
And we've got very different styles. I'll just go and pick a celebrity who has quite a lot of influence and then just put up a scathing one-line remark that just says, no, you're wrong. But I'll try and make it a lot funnier than just, no, you're wrong, because it'd be a waste of time reading my tweets if that was the case. In fact, I'd argue that it's a waste of time reading any of my tweets regardless. But you go for the grassroots. You go for the ground level idiot.
Yes, I do. Well, I'm not particularly bright and intellectual, so I pick the low-hanging fruit to go for. But yes, I do get into some heated debates because stupidity really fucks me off, and I can't help it. Oh, sorry, I said fuck. I said it again. Sorry.
Well, I think we've almost hit the quota. It doesn't look. It doesn't matter because I can look the podcast is rated R for Ra anyway.
Oh, great. Okay, that's brilliant.
Who are you a big fan of on Twitter?
Well, the usuals, the greats. Obviously, Mr. Oz, and I do like Secular Bloke quite a lot. And there are lots and lots of unsung heroes as well. There are lots of people who have a very low follower count, and they're absolutely brilliant. Atheist Smurf, he's fantastic. And there's so many brilliant people. It's just I can't think of them all. But
yeah, you seem to have fun doing it, and that's I think that's why you've got your cult following, because everything you do, it just sounds like you're laughing when you're doing it.
I really don't know what this cult following, that you're talking about.
The cult of Ra?
There really isn't one.
Oh, I can assure you there is. I can assure you there is. As soon as there's a smart lady with an attractive Avi on there who really knows her stuff, gosh, gets the boys going.
Stop it.
Oh, no, it's true.
Just
True.
stop.
I'm just calling it as I see it. and because you're a nurse, you are in the most trusted profession. You must have known that.
I mean, I really like what I do. I don't want to glorify it and put it on a pedestal. I think everyone contributes, and I think nursing is just like any other job. I think it's a huge privilege. I get to look after people and care for people, and they do put their trust in me because they clearly haven't read my Twitter account.
I'd let you help me with my rash, Ra.
Oh, God, Adam.
I would.
Stop it.
I like making you laugh on Twitter, and now I know what your laugh actually sounds like. It'll be in my head every time I send you some sort of vile nonsense.
I hope you liked your reviews by all those celebrities that I gathered for you.
I've had you've really got some contacts, don't you? Prince William hasn't reviewed any of my work of late. I was kind of hoping that he might make an appearance.
No, he's probably elbow deep in placenta because the royal vag is about to expel at any minute.
It's going to be pushing a golf ball through a garden hose, isn't it?
Our next unelected sponge is due any minute now, so he's really rather busy.
Unelected sponge.
Well, they are.
Billions,
they really are.
Billions and billions of pounds to prop it up.
Yeah, when patients are going without cancer drugs because, there really isn't any funding at all. But, Kate and Wills are doing up their nursery, so priorities.
Yes, well, good for them. Someone's got to, put on some new lead-based paint in the what is it, Buckingham Palace. So, look, on a serious note, the NHS, what's the go?
Well, I don't know if you saw my tweet to Jeremy Hunt, whose surname I often want to change to my favourite C word.
Waffle.
That's it. He's our Minister for Health, and he's an advocate of homeopathy. No, I'm not kidding at all. I think Richard Dawkins posted a link today, but I knew about it anyway because I'd read it in one of the nursing journals, that he supports homeopathy. And, it's really fucking embarrassing to have your Minister for Health supporting, woo-woo wizardry and fuck wankery.
There it is. I was waiting for that one.
Magical, mystical water. So that's, another thing that really grates on me. The NHS, it's in a bit of a state. I think it still provides a valuable service. Providing care, which is free at the point of delivery, is still quite amazing. But we are struggling. We are struggling quite a bit. And I don't know if you've been sort of keeping up with the measles crisis in the UK.
Yeah, we discussed it very briefly on a previous episode, but measles out going. Everyone wants a piece of the measles action.
Well, this is it. That twat muffin, Dr. Wakefield, wrote, a paper linking autism to the MMR, and this led to, a massive gap in vaccinations, and of course, herd immunity was compromised, and of course, now we've had this massive surge of measles cases. It's been particularly bad in Wales, and because I'm in Bristol, which is just on, quite close to the border, we've had to set up emergency clinics to vaccinate children who are in their teens, have never had their MMR, which they should have had as babies. So that's put a massive strain on the NHS. And of course, that sort of comes round to the anti-vaxxer discourse. And I've had my sort of pleasant conversations with Rob Schneider.
Has he responded to you?
Oh, yes, he responds to me all the time. He calls me a hater. and he sends me links to blogs from chiropractors. And
see, that's a quality resource there. That's
very, yes. And this week he linked me to an article to the Wall Street Journal, which he seems to think is a peer-reviewed publication. You know, really.
Well, if you're the only person writing, editing, and reviewing it, then and you're your own peer.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Rob Schneider, what a not only were all of his movies complete rubbish, but he is just a terrible, terrible human being, in my opinion, for promoting this garbage.
Absolutely. You know, all joking aside, if you're embarking as a celebrity, I use that term quite loosely. He's a bit of a celebrity,
well known,
but yes,
for all the wrong
as someone
reasons.
Who's absolutely, if you're embarking on, you know, anti-vaxxer discourse and you've got a biddable, gullible public who will listen to you because they have no sort of critical skills at all to praise the information that he's giving to you. They think, oh, he must be right. Well, he's inevitably sentencing children to death because children do die. I mean, very, very recently in the UK, we had a 2-month-old baby dying of pertussis, which is whooping cough, which, you know, that's just heartbreaking, and that's due to lack of vaccination, drop in herd immunity yet again. You know, it's just heartbreaking, and I don't know if he realises the severity, you know, of the wittage that he's subjecting people to.
So that's the NHS covered off. What's going on in England? Tell us a bit about you. What do you do for fun?
Oh, for fun? Well, Twitter.
Apart
Is there
from
anything
Twitter,
else?
do you do jazz ballet? Are you talk me through it? You can't just go out, save lives, and get a takeaway and sit in front of the computer all night. Surely you have a life.
I do have a life.
And you've got a cat. Oh, tell me about your cat. I remember this.
I've got 3 cats.
You've got 3 cats. You had a wonderful invention that I saw a short video on.
Yes,
Talk
the
us through
hamster
it.
wheel. People don't want to listen to that.
Oh, look, this is going to be the bit that gets everybody off. Let's do it.
Well, I can't articulate anything coherent now because you're just making me laugh. Yes, so
breathe.
Breathe. When I first got Sebastian, which is my oldest cat, I lived in a flat and we didn't, he didn't go outside, and I wanted him to exercise. And this is so pathetic, I had this wheel made at great cost. It's quite embarrassing, really.
It was a custom jobby.
It was a custom job, yes. I had to drive to Oxford. All the way to fucking Oxford to pick this thing up. I had to hire a van because it wouldn't fit in my little Fiat 500. So I had to hire a van. So yes, that's how it came to be. And I mean, I live in the house now and they do go out in the garden, but the wheel is still very, very popular.
Yes, if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, it's a bit like the Wheel of Fortune wheel, but it doesn't have any figures on it. And there's this brilliant video that Ra put up a while ago with just this cat standing on the bottom going for a jog. It's so cute.
They love it.
So do all the cats have a go on it, or is it only one?
They do. Yeah. No, they all have a go on it. It's very popular.
And what about you? I mean, would you fit on there?
No. There won't be a video of me in the wheel.
See, I'd pay to see that.
I'm sure you would.
All right. So who do you think should be my next bonus material, Ra? Who would you like? Whose voice do you want to hear?
Oh, whose voice do I want to hear? I think you should have Penguin Crystal on there. Get her.
She's got a sultry looking body, doesn't she? Yes.
She's gorgeous. Yes, she's so beautiful. And she's, a pharmacist, so she's very clever. She'll have far more interesting things to say than I did. So you have her.
She might be the go, because I'm going to do a medicine woman edition.
Right.
where I have ladies who work in medicine. So
Yeah.
smart cookies who can come on and talk about basically the same stuff you do, but they can also
Yes,
get animated and probably use a fewer swear words.
Yes, and far more intellectually challenging as well, I think.
You're good fun to have on, Ra. I'd have you on any time.
Oh gosh, thank you. That's so kind. God bless.
Don't say that. All right, Princess. Well, look, thank you very much for coming on the Herd Mentality at the last minute. It's like, what is it?
That's okay.
It's now 5:15 in the morning.
No, I know. You got me out of bed.
No, I didn't. Did I really?
No, you did. I was in bed.
What are you wearing?
Oh, something really unsexy.
Oh, okay. No, we can't end on that note. I'll edit that out. Let's try this again. What are you wearing, Ra?
I can't do this, seriously. I'm sorry. I'll start laughing.
Give it a go.
I can't.
Think of something creative. Come on, you can do it. What are you wearing, Ra?
I'm wearing a Deepak Chopra jumpsuit.
I knew you'd say that! I am too. We have so much in common.
It's great, isn't it?
Oh, it's the cosmic jockstrap.
I know. It's fantastic.
Brilliant.
Are you wearing Banana Man jocks?
But no, well, you know all about my Star Trek jocks, though, don't you?
No.
Oh, I put up a photo of me and my Star Trek jocks.
No.
Oh, yes, you've got to have a look. There's a picture of me with Ray Comfort.
No.
Yes! Go onto my Twitter profile. There's a picture of Ray Comfort sitting there with a handycam filming me, and I'm in nothing but my blue Star Trek jocks and socks.
I'm definitely going to have a look.
Yeah, you've got to suss that out.
No, definitely. Well, I mean, I've got nothing else to do now, and I think I can get the, ultimate Fanny Gallops from just looking at that.
You're a disgrace. I love it. I love it. As you were, I'll let you get back to bed.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's, great privilege. Thank you so much. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Toodle pip.